Right, today we're going to be looking at how to make Big Ben on Onshape. It's not going to be a photorealistic model, but we are going to try and put as much detail in as we realistically can. Um, and this should be perfect if you want to 3D print it or if you just want to show off and render it. This should be perfectly adequate for that. So first thing you're going to do is jump into a new part studio. And for the purposes of this video, we're going to be doing a 700 scale. So that means that the base of Big Ben is going to be about 2 centimeters long and wide, and the height is going to be about 25 centimeters in total. So the first thing you can do is you can do a sketch. If you want to do a different scale, then feel free to play about with these, but remember that you will have to scale up every dimension that I give you. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch on the top plane. I'm going to draw a center point rectangle. I'm going to draw that out from the middle there, and I'm going to make sure that the base length is 20 millimeters, and the height again is 20 millimeters. So you should have something like this. Next, before I confirm that sketch, I'm going to draw a 3-point arc. So that is this tool here. The shortcut is A. And somewhere along the base, I'm just going to draw a short arc. It doesn't really matter how wide it is or how deep. I tend to recommend not going the full half circle, but going maybe about a quarter. Something like that should be adequate. And then I'm just going to set the distance between each of these points as 1.9. And you should have something like that. Next thing I'm going to do, and this is where our skills start cranking up, we're going to do a linear pattern tool in our sketch. So what I'm going to do is jump up to the sketch toolbar. You might see the circular pattern tool is the default tool you're seeing. If you click the drop down and click linear pattern, then you'll be able to click on this arc here. And you'll see if we zoom out, it defaults to putting 3 of these arcs at 25 mil intervals. What we're going to do is we're going to change that 25 to 1.9. And you'll see that these points, because it's the same distance as the arc, we've actually got points that are exactly in line with each other or exactly continuous. And we're going to change that 3 times 3, we're going to change that to a 10. Okay, what I'm going to do now, just click away from that to confirm that sketch. The only thing left to do with these arcs is I want them directly in the middle of this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's this point here. I'm going to set the dimension from this point to the center. So this middle plane, this is why we did a center point rectangle. So I've got this middle plane. I'm going to set that distance to 0, and that should just scoot everything back a bit and make sure everything's centralized. Okay, last thing to do is I'm going to grab my center circle, and on one of the corners, I'm going to draw a circle, and that's between 2 and 2.5. I did 2 earlier for the example. I might do 2.5 now because 2 was a little bit small. It's going to be up to you. You're not going to notice the difference between those. Um, okay, and now I'm at a stage where I can start. I've got my framework. I'm going to start deleting some lines. So you can drag the trim tool, and I'll show you why you're doing this in a minute. Trim tool, I'm going to get rid of the 3 big lines. I'm going to get rid of this small extension of a line over here. Then super carefully, is to not delete the arcs themselves. I'm just going to, it's probably easiest to either click and drag on these lines, or if you click and drag, you'll see you get this line. I'm just going to just scooch and intersect each line I want to get rid of. If you do make a mistake, just click Control Z and it'll put you back, and you will just need to repeat the step and be a little bit more careful. Okay, so I want, and inside the circle, I'm going to delete everything. Okay, so I'm left with 1 circle at the side, and then the remainder of this arc, and then 9 other arcs that go along. Okay, what you can do now is we did our linear pattern tool a minute ago. We're going to click the drop down, and we're going to click circular pattern. And what I'm going to do is highlight everything, and you'll see when it's circular patterns, it defaults to putting the origin of that pattern around the origin of your screen, which is exactly what I want, like that. And it looks a bit weird because it defaults to 3. You'll see it says 3 times at the bottom here. If you double click on that 3 and type 4, you'll you'll see it bounces to a square, and we're starting to see where this Big Ben shape is taking form. So just click the enter, click when you see that green tick on the cursor, just click away from the shape. What we need to do now is grab our trim tool once more and get rid of this little arc here and this segment here so that we're left with one closed shape. And if we do that on all four corners, you'll see that we've got one solid area that is all confined by the shape that we made. What I would do now is I would go around and put a little fillet on these corners, just smoothing it out a bit. 0.5 should be fine, um, depending on the size of your elements that I've let you decide. You might go to 1, but for me, I think 0.5 is going to be perfectly adequate. And now I'm going to extrude it. Now I'm just going to jump onto the one I did earlier because I can't remember how much we extruded it by. 22. So yours now you've got one single closed shape. You're going to extrude that. It's going to default to 25. So dial that down to 22. Grab the tick. And you'll see we're already getting something like the base or the column of Big Ben. Okay, next what I'm going to do is on this top section I've done, I'm going to I'm going to press N to orient myself to the plane, and I'm going to make a sketch on that new top plane. Again, I'm going to draw a center point rectangle, and this should snap to the center point of these circles here, and you'll see that brings me exactly in line with these top points, these nodes, these points of my arcs that I drew to start with. So just hover over and it should snap to the center of one of those circles, and that should be a perfect square. And what I'm going to do is extrude it by 0.5 mil or 1 mil. You might get away with 1 mil. I think for photorealistic purposes, 0.5 might be better. And the only thing I'm going to do now is you can see that that's trying to extrude up. I'm just going to flick the arrow so it extrudes down. Click the tick. So I've got a little square there. Okay, next thing, I'm going to zoom in to this flat section underneath one of these arcs. So you can just see the underside of this square I've made visible. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on my plane tool. I'm going to offset a new plane by 0.5 mil. And you will see that that plane appears right underneath. Now, it might be quite tricky to click on this plane because it'll appear quite small. If you do find that's the case, if you just click on the plane tool here in your left-hand toolbar, I've clicked on the front plane, let's just deselect everything. Plane 1, you'll see that that highlights, and I'm going to make a sketch on there. Now, this is a dead easy move. All I'm going to do is select my project tool. That's this box here. This is to save me drawing out something again. If I just hover over my current top face, you'll see it highlights yellow. We actually get a projection of that face in light blue appearing on my new plane. So I don't have to redraw anything. I just need to grab that shape and it projects it down. I'm going to extrude that by another 0.5 mil. And you're going to make sure that is extruding downwards as well. So what we've got here is we've got basically a square that's 0.5 mil. We've got a gap of 0.5 mil, and then we've got another square of 0.5 mil. I'm going to click tick. And there we go. Right, okay. That's pretty much all the detail we're going to add to the tower or the column of Big Ben at the minute.